speaker is no one than Professor Chinedu Nebo, and briefly I would like to read his citation. Professor Chinedu Nebo is a scholar, leader and mentor of national and international repute. He has distinguished himself as a teacher, researcher, technocrat, and administrator par excellence. Professor Nebo served in several administrative capacities as Deputy Vice Chancellor, Enugu State University of Science and Technology from January 2000 to January 2004, and also as Vice Chancellor of University of Nigeria, Nsukka, from 2004 to 2009, and another position of Vice Chancellor for Federal University, Oye Ekiti, from 2011 to 2013. Professor Nebo was honored as the best Vice Chancellor in Nigeria in the year 2006, and the most outstanding Vice Chancellor in 2007 by two independent unions, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, which most time we know are often constantly as loggerheads with most leaders in Nigerian universities. Professor Nebo's astute leadership qualities was recognized by the federal government of Nigeria as he was appointed the Honorable Minister of Power from February 2013 to May 2015. His scorecard and achievement for his 2 years and 4-month tenure is widely available to everyone on his LinkedIn profile. So Professor Nebo's leadership tentacles spread to his immediate and distant communities as he served and serves on the board of several professional and voluntary organizations, including but not limited to members in the Enugu State Committee of Industrial Development, members Governing Council of Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, member Governing Board, National Primary Healthcare Development, the chairman, Voice Deaf Foundation. And also, he's not just a leader, but he's a Christian leader, because he's the Archdeacon of the Church of Nigeria, the Anglican Communion, Diocese of Nike. So, ladies and gentlemen present here, I am happy and privileged to present to you an administrator par excellence that is going to present to us a talk on transformational leadership in institutional and political setting. So please, let's clap our hands as Professor Chinedu Nebo presents a talk. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
This to be part of. And I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Greg Erabo and his colleagues who have made this conference possible by the grace of God. Once again, thank you. Transformational leadership in institutional and political settings. I may like to ask, can anyone say anything new about leadership? Is it possible? Perhaps not, but we keep on learning and learning, because the moment we stop learning, we start dying. Transformational leadership is the topic for today in institutional and political settings. Transformational leadership is leadership that causes positive change in individuals and social systems in a sustainable and remarkable way, resulting in palpable impact and sustainable growth. Transformational leadership is different from transactional leadership in that transformational leadership is dynamic, flexible, malleable, impactful, innovative, holistic, analytical, and brings about growth, while the latter is essentially administrative, laid back, lackluster, and glued to maintaining the status quo. Transformational leadership, therefore, is what we are looking for. Although the topic is specific that has been given to me, my approach will be generic, since the principles I intend to outline have universal applications in all kinds of settings, whether in organizations, wherever organizations need leadership, or whether they are institutional, political, social, spiritual, and otherwise. Transformational leadership is characterized by integrity, credibility, positive attitude, purposefulness, humility, servant heart, high emotional intelligence, trustworthiness, doggedness, can-do spirit, visionary orientation, spirit of discernment, faithfulness, etc. Other attributes include the capacity for good judgment and handling difficult tasks, sound communication skills, organizational consciousness, good listening skills, focus, teachableness, and handling of criticisms productively. One crucial and very critical attribute of transformational leadership is setting correct priorities and brushing aside distractions that will prevent one from keeping the main things, and then not ever allowing oneself to start measuring on minors. So to be a transformational leader, you must learn to ward off distractions. One way of doing that in institutions or wherever you are is to deploy what they call the Pareto principle. Some people call it the 20-80 principle, and that is essentially setting priorities. Without setting priorities and doggedly following those priorities, you will not be a transformational leader. The famous leadership consultant, John Maxwell, reduced this Pareto principle to the following in general. Are the top 20% producers. That is the top 20% most effective of your personal development resources on this training for the next 20%. In order to be impactful and productive, avoid distractions, as I said earlier, that could derail your effectiveness. Distractions can be disastrous and they will cause you to derail. I'll give you some examples. 300 whales suddenly died somewhere. Why? They were busy chasing sardines. You know how small sardines are. But they saw this large group of sardines moving, and 300 whales went after them. And the sardines lured them to a very shallow bay, having shallow water. What was the result? All the 300 whales died, chasing insignificant sardines. Second, there is a bird called the crow. And the crow has a pet peeve and something it likes to do all the time, and that is annoy the eagle. Whenever the eagle is flying, a crow will be flying behind it, trying to annoy it. What does the eagle do? The eagle could easily turn around and tear the crow into pieces, but he never does that. The eagle just flies and moves up, ascends to greater heights where the crow can never be. And That way, he doesn't spend any energy. It does what it likes to do best while warding off all kinds of distractions. There was also a personal experience where a friend of ours set up a bird feeder pan somewhere in the suburbs of Rapid City, South Dakota, so that any birds that come around can just pick some food and go, keep flying, come and stop, perch, pick up food and go. But at a time, a large bird came and occupied the place, driving away all the other birds that are smaller. In the end, who was the loser? The big bird. It couldn't fly around anymore. It became a self-imprisoned guard for food that was made for everybody. So, in warding off distractions, one must learn, if you want to be a transformational leader, to choose between what is good and what is better, and between what is better and what is best. You may need to say no to some good ideas in order to do the very best ideas. Whereas transactional leaders might even try to do things efficiently, the transformational leader prefers to be effective. Efficiency is doing things right, and efficiency is the foundation for survival. On the other hand, effectiveness is doing the right things well and is the foundation of success. You need both. But the most important one for transformational leaders is effectiveness. Transformational leaders are change agents. The kind of change that Nigeria government, the current one, promises us we are going to find. At the end of the day, we are much worse than what we were many years ago. Not that kind of change. We are talking about positive change. Although people are mostly resistant to change, transformational leaders bring about change by, one, being flexible enough to change oneself, one's idea. 20% who are the most effective, have them buy into this change, and then you can introduce it with them to the rest of the group. And then utilize, that is for transformational leaders, they know how to utilize high emotional intelligence to help douse any brutal effects of any change that comes their way and the way of the company. There are some attributes of transformational leadership that are in addition to these ones mentioned. One of them is out-of-the-box thinking. That is something that is alien to people. People will tell you, we always do it this way. This is the way it is done. It is never done this way. Those are transactional leaders. A transformational leader will think outside the box. He is not glued to any or tied to any apron strings. He is innovative. Transformational leaders think outside the box. Outside the box thinking is crucial and inevitable in a global, knowledge-driven economy that is brutally competitive and unapologetically combative. One Chinese definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and this time expecting a different result. Not even magicians can do that. Out-of-the-box thinking inspires creativity, ignites strategic thinking, brings about unbiased analytical thinking, which leads to strategic planning and strategic actions. All of this, of course, is premised upon a robust SWOT analysis. That is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats which one must do. And these things are necessary for sustainable growth. Some of the out-of-the-box thinking experience that I had while at UNN and in other institutions include how I dealt with the menace of cultism. When I came to the University of Nigeria as Vice Chancellor, it wasn't the best of times. 2 years before my arrival, cultists had assassinated the chief security officer of the university. 1 year before my arrival, cultists assassinated brutally the dean of the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. So what was my approach? Zero tolerance, if possible. So many vice chancellors compromise by pandering to the whims and caprices